I think this is one you're going to enjoy. Chad Ramey joins us right now. Native of Fulton, Mississippi, played his high school golf at Itawamba Agricultural High School, IAHS, played at Mississippi State. His teachers, his coaches are right here in the state of Mississippi. He is a winner on the Korn Ferry Tour and has secured his PGA Tour card for next season. Chad, man, first of all, congratulations. What a 2-week span it's been.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy 2 weeks. It's all I could ever ask for. I got a really good support group behind me, and it's still pretty surreal. Don't know if it's quite sunk in yet, but it's been a great 2 weeks.
So I was kind of teasing this interview earlier, and I said we get the stories where Jordan Spieth plays a year at Texas, and then he gets a sponsor's exemption, and he wins shortly thereafter, and he's straight to tour. And Victor Hovland explodes onto the tour, and Colin Morikawa wins a PGA championship. Those are the names that we hear about all the time. But the reality is, I think your path is far more common for guys that make it to the PGA Tour. Take me through the last 7 years or so since turning pro and the grind it's been to get to this point.
Oh, it's been a grind. So I turned professional, straight out of college. I think it was, like you said, right at 7 years ago. I, hit the mini tours running, kind of just, load up everything, pack it in your car. You just drive place to place, just trying to, make a living really, and, get a start here or there on the Korn Ferry Tour, the PGA Tour when you can. Save up some money, go to Q school. That's probably the hardest 2 or 3 months as a golfer that you'll ever face, because it's not like you just have to play one good week or something. You honestly have to play good over about a 3-month period. And then, so I finally made it through 1 year, made it to final stage, got some status, and then didn't get much out of it. Ended up going and spending a summer in Canada, played the Mackenzie Tour, played pretty well up there. It advanced me back to final stage of Q school, and then I got my card, and I've kind of retained it ever since. But, it's like you said, it's been a grind, and I've worked my butt off to get to where I am, and it's just nice to see that the hard work's finally starting to pay off.
All right, so the last couple of years in particular, when you say you got your card, it was your card that gave you status and allowed you to stay on the Korn Ferry Tour. But last year, because of the COVID year, they didn't do you advance from Korn Ferry to the PGA if you finish. I may not have that exactly right, but I know it's been a strange year in terms of your ability to move from the Korn Ferry to the PGA Tour. Kind of walk me through that.
So yeah, you're exactly right. So normally last year I would have got my PGA Tour card already and been playing on the tour this year, but because of COVID, they combined the 2 seasons, so I've had to stay on the Korn Ferry Tour an extra year, which I don't, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. It gives me, a little more time to get ready for the tour. But I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. It's been great. It's been a long 2 years, but I wouldn't have it any other way now.
All right, so last week you secure your status and you get your PGA Tour card, but that starts when not the calendar turns, but the season turns, right? So it's not automatic where you can play on the PGA Tour this week unless you have a sponsor's exemption. Is that right?
Right, that's correct. So it'll be when the playoffs finish. I think it's sometime in September.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend.
So whenever, I think we'll have like a week off maybe, and then the wraparound season will start in the fall, and I should get some starts then. Not 100% sure, because I don't even think they've released the schedule yet.
Yeah, I think some of the individual tournaments have released it, but in terms of the PGA Tour, it hasn't all come out. So, is it just coincidence that you get your tour card and the weight of the world is lifted off your shoulder, and then you win the next week on the Korn Ferry Tour? Did it feel different when you stepped onto the tee box Thursday morning?
To be honest, it really didn't, because I've been chasing that win all year. I mean, I guess, there was definitely a little bit of weight lifted off my shoulders, but I mean, I've been chasing that first professional win for a while now. I wanted it pretty bad.
Congratulations on the win. I know you get that first professional when you get the trophy. Where's that trophy going to go?
I don't know. It's gonna be somewhere where I can see it. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you've certainly earned that. All right, talk to me about your coaches coming back to Mississippi. I know you've worked some with VJ. I know you've worked some with Tim, the guys at Old Waverly. Just kind of walk me through the guys that have helped you continue to get better as a player to the point where you've now got a PGA Tour card.
I mean, awesome. Old Waverly and Mr. Bryan, they've been nothing but great to me ever since I've been in college, letting me come down there, hang out and play. And then, heck, I've been with VJ Trolio since I was about 8 years old, so it's right at about 20 years I've been working with him. It's pretty crazy it's been that long. And then I've worked with Tim Yelverton ever since he got to Waverly, which was maybe, I couldn't put a number to it, maybe 4 or 5 years, 6 years after VJ got there, or I started working with VJ. But I don't know, they're awesome. I love them as people, love them as instructors, and they're awesome people.
Chad, let's talk about junior golf just for a second, because I think there are a lot of people that don't understand what that world is like. I was talking late last week with Cohen Trolio and with Wells Williams, who are guys that are stars at the junior golf level. They've committed to college. They've got all of that in front of them. But they were talking to me a little bit about the schedule that they've got and all of these events that they're playing. It's not a deal where you just play high school golf and then you go play college golf and then you try to get to the tour, right?
Right. No, there's so many big tournaments, and I know both of them pretty well, and I know they stay busy and keep the road hot. But there's just so many big junior tournaments out there across the country that are just, I mean, like, they just kind of prepare you for that next collegiate level really, really well. So just getting out there and, being on the road and playing against, the best juniors in the world, I mean, it just kind of prepares you for that next step.
All right, so looking ahead, you mentioned the wraparound schedule. The fall schedule starts, mid-September. We get to the end of September, and we've got the Sanderson Farms Championship. I know that's an event that you've played in before, but it's not an event that you've played in when you had PGA Tour status. How excited are you about that event here in our home state?
I mean, I'm pretty pumped about it. I mean, it's always fun to play in your home state. I got to, do it 2 or 3 years ago when the Korn Ferry Tour came to Oxford, and then I Monday qualified into the Sanderson in the Pass. And it's just nice to be in your home state, have, a big support group. A lot of people come down and watch, and it's just a great time.
Chad, is it encouraging for you as a golfer when you see the success that some of your colleagues on the Korn Ferry Tour have had making the transition from Korn Ferry to the PGA? And I mean, you mentioned the Korn Ferry event in Oxford. I played in the Pro-Am on the media side that year and played with Sung J M, and I've seen, what he's been able to go ahead and accomplish. Does that give you confidence that, yes, it is a big step, but maybe it's not that big of a step?
Right, yeah, 100%. I mean, there's such a fine line from the Korn Ferry Tour to the PGA Tour. I mean, you got your top 10 to 15 players in the world that are, kind of on that next level. But, it's like you said, all the guys in the past that, make that step from the Korn Ferry to the PGA Tour, it's such a fine line. The guys, it's just, the field is, so deep. And, they can all play.
Chad, what are the next few weeks like for you? So you mentioned, it's Korn Ferry. You got that first win. Do you now kind of chase sponsors exemptions on the PGA Tour for the next few weeks before the season ends? Is there an opportunity there to play some PGA events?
There might be, but right now I guess I'm shooting for that number 1 spot in the 25 because it's every spot matters. I think if you're first on the points list, you can kind of set your own schedule. Basically, you get in any event you want, and then it kind of goes down the points list from there. So 20, like if you end up like 20th on the points list, you're not going to get as many starts as someone that would if they were 4th on the points list. So
Gotcha.
I probably won't be chasing sponsor exemption just because of that, because it's kind of like every point still counts, you know, like you just want to get up as high as you can on that points list.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's, I guess, short-term success versus long-term success. Chad, really, really appreciate your time. Congratulations, continued success, and hope we can stay in touch. We're certainly going to continue to follow your career.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.